The Fresno Focus Radio Hour. This is the No Focus Radio Hour. Comedy and insight from the greatest minds in Fresno. A Lightomine Media production. That's right. This is the No Focus Radio Hour, the #1 independent podcast in the Central Valley. Thank you for listening, and thank you for telling a friend. The No Focus Radio Hour is available anywhere podcasts can be found, including Rumble and your home smart speakers. Actually, not Rumble, because it never uploads. Anyways, remember to subscribe, leave a review. It helps others discover our show. But while you're reviewing, please keep in mind that 5 stars is the only number of stars that you should give. If you enjoy our show, please share it with your friends. But if you hate it, share it with your enemies. Check out our site, nofocusradio.com, for exclusive content. You can also join our Discord server. It's a lot of fun. Find us on social media. Our handle is @nofocusradio. And the rest of our stuff at lightominemedia.com.
And I know just what I got to do. Gonna hit this crowd running. Running just as fast as I can.
In a high-pitched voice.
Gonna hit this crowd running to my favorite podcast, Fresno.
Woo, so good, man. Sound
No
better.
Focus.
Sound better all the time. Golly, this is the No Focus Radio Hour, the #1 independent podcast in the Central Valley. It's made for those who live in the Central Valley, for those who miss the Central Valley, those who long to live in the Central Valley, and those who
are trying to cash their Bitwise checks in the Central Valley.
Ouch. Yeah.
Too soon.
Sorry. That's rough.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Wow.
Oof.
Coming in hard
Hard
the
and
get-go,
fast.
Marty.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Setting the tone for the show.
Wow.
Hey, we have with us our beautiful cast of characters, don't we?
I like the way you do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, we have with us, actually, I'm the doorman.
Hey,
And
how you doing, doorman?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
You're looking good.
Thank you. Thank you. We have with us also Stu Pedasso.
Yeah, I've been spreading the words of the No Focus Radio Hour by putting stickers all over various cities.
It's you.
You're
the one.
Oh, well, it's, yeah. But I just recently went to Sacramento and I left a couple stickers there. So if you find the stickers, just take a picture of yourself with the sticker and maybe we'll have you on the show.
Oh, hey, that would be a good
I
contest.
like that.
That's
You
good.
post it on Discord.
Oh, that's
They're
right.
also they're in
Discord?
Morro Bay. They're in Johnny Knobs put one out.
That's right.
In a I don't even remember where it was.
What,
Neither.
what could we give people? That would be a good giveaway. Like if they posted themselves and hashtagged it, with a No Focus Radio Hour.
Or put it on our Discord server, a
And put
picture
it
of
on
them
our- or
with
put
a
it on our
sticker
Discord.
because they're in Morro Bay,
What do they get?
Sacramento. They're around Fresno.
Do you guys have any T-shirts?
What do they get, Johnny?
I had a lot of T-shirts.
Oh,
None of them
What are
have
you
to do with
gonna
the No
get?
Focus Radio
If
Hour.
you find a sticker,
What are you going to give them, Johnny?
you'll come on the show and we'll give you a No Focus hat.
How about this? We have one T-shirt. You asked about T-shirts. We got one T-shirt, and we'll give it to someone, and then they have to share it to the next
The
person.
No
that does
Focus
it.
T-shirt.
The No Focus T-shirt
the one that
you
I
had.
have.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a little bit small for me, so you'll get the one and only No Focus. That's actually a great one. You get the
Fit a
one and only No
child.
Focus T-shirt.
You get one No Focus T-shirt, but it's not to keep. It's until somebody else posts
That's
it, and then you
right.
got to give it to the next
and it's
person.
signed. We'll all sign it.
And we'll sign it.
And then you'll sign it, and then it keeps
that's
on
a
going
great
around.
idea. I like that.
I love it.
It's kind of like a chain letter, huh?
Yeah, I love
kind of like
it.
a chain letter. I came up with that idea, by the way. Thank you very
Yes,
much.
yes. Hey, the man that came up with that idea is the one, the only Jason JJ.
Or
Choose Jason. I don't know.
Cool J. I'm basically a nobody. I was just told they needed an extra filler in the seat, so I came in.
We found him on the street picking through some trash outside. So we're like, hey.
Which is a noble profession.
I was illegally planting a garden in my front yard in the city of Columbus.
with your chicken.
With my chickens pecking on the ground. No, really though, guys, I'm delighted to be back. I love listening to your show. You guys talk about a wide range of topics, and you infuse a lot of humor into them as well.
We try.
I'm honored to be back with Johnny and whatever your name is, and then whatever your name is.
The doorman and
the
Stu.
doorman and Stu.
Yes.
We should have gave him water when we tied him up because he's obviously delusional.
Right?
Well, we're glad to have you.
Too late.
We're
Thank
glad
you for
to have
coming
you.
here. Yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. My
do,
pleasure.
yeah.
Again, I'm looking forward to having another fun time with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
be
you.
good.
And behind the mic, we have the one, the only,
They call me.
the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Johnny Knob. Okay.
There's actually a
Nice.
story.
Thank you.
Got high there.
There was
Acapella,
a
baby.
story written about how I got that name.
Is there? And is it written by Chat GPT this time?
It was written by Dr. Seuss.
Oh, Dr. Seuss. I love it. What did,
Dr.
Ted Geisel himself.
what did Dr. Seuss
He
say?
wrote this story. He said,
Dramatic
What did he say?
You were saying?
But he's kind of dead, so
some
he's saying
music.
nothing.
Get some music.
Is that music going to work?
No, we should get some what's Dr. Seuss music? Is there
Jim Croce?
Seuss type Jim Croce?
Yeah,
Is
some
there-
like,
Croce,
some like
James
kid.
Taylor?
You need some like kid music, some kid fun.
yeah, some
music.
Dr. Seuss type.
I'm
Dr.
going
Seuss.
to Carolina
How's like this? Let's see if this.
in my
How about
mind.
this? What's
Cats
this?
in the
See how
cradle
this sounds.
and the silver spoon.
How's this?
There you go. Oh yeah, I like it.
Oh, that
Okay,
that
that
sounds
works.
like really new age.
A little
like Enya,
jazzy,
kind
yeah.
of.
A little
pretty
new
good,
age
right?
jazzy.
Yeah, it
huh?
sounds like new age a little bit,
Yeah.
like Enya.
Yeah, there you go. Or Audia.
Audio.
Oh,
Good
apparently
dad
you
joke.
can't
by the
play
way.
it. Okay, here we go. Look at There's the music. It's called Dr. Seuss type lo-fi beat.
Lou, let's do it.
Okay, here we go. So, once again, you guys know how I got that name?
You were going to tell us.
Oh, how did you get that name? How did Dr. Seuss give you that name, Johnny?
Once upon a time, in a town called Whistleflute, lived a man named Johnny Knobbs. And oh, what a hoot! He had a peculiar knack for turning things loud. Ooh. Be it a whisper or a trumpet, he made quite a crowd. Now, Johnny Knobbs was a curious chap, always searching for sounds with a boisterous rap. One day, while exploring the magical wood, he stumbled upon something that he understood. In a hidden glen where the melody bloomed, Johnny discovered a mystical volume that loomed. It gleamed and it glowed with a mystical hum and a musical hum, and Johnny felt his heart dance. And oh, how it was fun. He cranked it up high and the world came alive. The birds chirped in rhythm and the bees started to jive. But Johnny Knobbs, oh, he had a surprise. As he turned up the volume, he grew quite a size.
Wow.
His legs became long like a towering tree, and his voice boomed like thunder, so loud and so free. His arms stretched out and his hair turned to brass. Johnny Knobbs was transformed. Oh, what a gas.
Oh, I was going
He
somewhere else.
roamed through the town with his newfound sound. People marveled and cheered as they gathered around. Johnny Knobbs, they all called with awe in their voice. For you have a gift that makes us rejoice. The mayor proclaimed, from this day forth, you shall be known as Johnny Knobbs, the Sound North. And so our hero embraced his unique fame, spreading joy and laughter, all while he became. He'd play his guitar and the mountains would sway. He'd tap on his drums and the rivers would spray. He'd whistle a tune and the clouds would start dancing. Johnny Knobbs knew how to keep everyone prancing. So if you ever find yourself in Whistleflute, look out for Johnny Knobbs in his voluminous suit. When you ask him, how did you get your name? He'd smile and exclaim with great pride and no shame. Because I control the volume, he'll say with delight. I bring music and laughter to everything bright. For when life gets too quiet and you're feeling a bore, just turn up the volume and let your spirits soar. And so, dear friends, remember this tale of Johnny Knobbs and his loud, merry trail. Embrace your uniqueness and let your joy ignite. And like Johnny, spread happiness with all your might.
Is that because you control
The volume! It's a true story.
Is it a true story?
a true one.
I didn't realize it was going to be a novel,
gonna be
like
a
The Tale of
musical.
Two Cities.
Did you
here.
guys? It was a 10-minute story about. But the thing was, though, but it's true. Have you guys ever heard that true story?
No, I have not heard that true story.
Have you guys
Thank
been
you.
to Whistleflute though?
Thank you, Dr.
I have.
Seuss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where is
was-
it?
It's in. It started with a V.
It's in the Vermonian Mountains.
It's where the Lorax was.
It's the version
By the Lorax.
region-
Isn't that a part of the
regions.
body? I don't know.
No, you're thinking of like thorax, like on an
I'm
insect.
talking about the
Oh,
Lorax.
okay, there we
I
go.
once bruised my Lorax. I had some vigorous Hunter Biden style escapades going on.
You might be in those photos that they're putting out.
Yeah,
the
oh
Hunter
my
Biden
gosh,
photos.
those photos are gonna ruin me.
You don't have a credit card sitting there with your name on it, do you? Johnny Knobs.
Hey guys, have you heard? Sorry, I'm gonna cut you off.
Yes.
Have you guys heard? Huh? Have you guys heard of the?
Yes. Continue.
It was that music. That music messed us up, man. That
That's weird, man.
Dr. Seuss lo-fi.
Or the
Yeah.
story, or both.
Yeah. So, as everybody, I'm
hypnotized.
sure at
Yeah.
this point in Fresno and California and Texas, everywhere the Bitwise is, you guys have all heard about.
Oh yeah.
The Bitwise situation,
Yes. I'm going to say this right out of the gate. I have to give credit to my wife. She's
Okay.
the one that brought the story to me.
right? Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. She goes, "Did you hear about Bitwise?" I go, "No." And she goes, "Well, let me forward it to you." So she's the one who told me. I don't know how
Okay.
you guys found out. How did you find out? You know what? This is going to be like the JFK assassination. They're going to be like, "Where were you in the day
Without the
that you
Zapruder
heard?"
film.
Right.
Without
Without
the
the
Zapruder,
Zapruder
there
film.
may be Zapruder film. We don't know
There
yet.
could be. You never
yeah,
know.
but they'll be, "Where were you on the day that you heard of Bitwise?"
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually found out about it on Tuesday when I was at work and I had some downtime. I was just trolling America's #1 trusted news source, Twitter, and as I was scrolling through the feed, I saw their Bitwise Industries furloughs workers. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, where there's smoke, there's fire. And so I clicked on the link and I read where Bitwise furloughed their entire workforce, not just here in Fresno, but in their parent departments and offices across certain parts of the U.S. as well. So I'm like, this is interesting. And then on Wednesday, it grew
Steamrolling
a little bit more
now.
where we
It's like,
started,
rolling
it's
downhill.
steamrolled into what it is now, where we're hearing about all of the different
Snowballing.
We're hearing about all the different financial problems that Bitwise has had about paying off investors and apparently borrowing loans from, I may be wrong, so please correct me on this, folks. I don't want to state fallacy, but apparently borrowing loans from the city of Fresno and then not either being able to pay them back or being in other kinds of financial trouble. So obviously it has grown and grown and grown and grown, primarily because of social media. So that's when I first found out about it, was on Tuesday.
And they haven't been paying their taxes to Fresno.
That too, yes.
Because I found out about it when I was watching ABC News. I was complaining to my wife about Kevin Musso. And,
Your favorite weatherman.
So I was totally complaining about that. Then they had the Bitwise story, and I thought, man, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What about you, Johnny? Where did you hear? Where were you at? Were you on the potty?
I remember
possibly?
this. I remember this.
Taking
Yes.
pictures?
I was taking pictures on the potty.
Hey, I know someone who did that.
With a laptop computer.
Yeah. I don't remember when or where, but I am interested because there's a lot of people who are
Involved in this?
really upset about the whole situation.
Let me ask you this. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
What the hell is Bitwise?
Okay, yeah. So what Bitwise in theory is, it started off as a kind of a confusing area thing. It started off as a technology group that, to keep it simple, they had a building and they would rent space out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they were renting space out, and the idea was they'd rent it out to other people in the tech sector.
Okay.
And with the goal of, you come in, you can rent cheaper space, and Bitwise would help kind of coach you throughout this. So a bunch of people who were like tech gurus would come in, and Jed Soberall, who is the Jake Soberall, sorry, Jed is his younger brother. I apologize if I confuse the names. It's because I know Jake and Jed. So I've
Full disclosure.
Yeah, full disclosure. I know them a bit. Went to school with them. So
Jake Soberall is a CEO.
One of the CEOs.
Along with, what's her name?
Irma.
Irma Olguin Jr.
Olguin, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the main focus, was they'd rent space out, and as tech companies became like profitable or good, Bitwise as a company would like invest in them. So for instance, I was working with a tech developer at Bitwise on an old website.
Okay.
And I was working with them, and they were awesome. I think they were called like E3. I forget. Don't quote me on the name, but he was great. And then one day he was like, "Hey, I can't work on the site anymore." And I was like, "Wait, dude, we're in the middle of this thing." He's like, well, Bitwise itself acquired us, and at the time they were just a people that were using Bitwise as a space.
Now, when did Bitwise? What was this whole serving under represented communities, and when did all that to where they were actually going to help people who didn't have?
So that's the
so
other.
they could come in and learn how to code and teach
part,
and train.
Yeah, that's the other part of what they did.
Was that in the beginning too, or was that later on?
They also did that. Yeah.
Okay.
So they'd always have like classes you can go in and do. Like they did like the learn to code camps and all these things. That's always been a big part of it. With the main idea kind of being it would be like this tech hub. A hub for technology. So if you have a tech idea, you could go rent a space there, and maybe you're working on something and you're like, man, I really need somebody who can program an Arduino board. I don't know. And then maybe 5 doors down, there happens to be some guys who do that. And so it was like this cool idea. Now, and I'm gonna try to explain this as best I can. Everybody, please feel free if I'm wrong. Jump in the show notes, contact me. That's fine. I'm not saying I know everything about what happened.
Okay.
But essentially, what seems to have happened in a simple, I'll just keep this simple because there's I have about 6 or 7 articles in the show notes, all with a bunch of information.
Yeah, they all have different information.
All information, yeah. But as I know that essentially Bitwise ran out of money. They ran out of cash. They needed cash bad. In 2022. Bitwise, Jake was going out to solicit more funds. They needed more capital to the point where they were actually selling off their COVID employee retention credits, which is a weird thing. I didn't even know you could do that, but apparently you could.
Yeah.
Which is weird. So they had, I forget how much money in employee retention credits. It was like up to like $26,000 per employee,
which is the money that the government gave to businesses per employee to help keep them afloat.
In theory, most businesses did not even get close to that.
Yeah,
because we were part of a business, and I remember when we had applied. We were employing like 150 people, and the idea is we can give you this money, but if you fire them, you owe it back or whatever. And we ended up getting like $40,000, and I'm like, well, that's like enough for nothing. That's not going to keep
that's not gonna do
200
anything.
Employees employed for however long this goes.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they ended up they were selling off their employee retention credits.
Well, in the meantime, let's back up a little bit. So in the meantime, this company now has been around for about 10 years now, right?
Yep.
So it's been around 10 years, and in the meantime, they've acquired, I don't know if they actually own them, but they have, obviously downtown, anybody who lives in Fresno know that there's a multitude of buildings that have
they own a lot of buildings.
Bitwise name on the buildings. Did they also, now they rent it out, did they rent out the space to just other people that weren't in the tech sector, like if somebody, or is it completely tech?
It's mainly tech, but there is other things. There's they put restaurants in them. There's like a gym in some of them.
Okay.
I actually had a job interview over a year ago with a company that is actually based in Bitwise South Stadium.
Okay.
So, and they're a small marketing and branding company that does a lot of marketing and branding via social media for a lot of smaller corporate companies across the country. And so they're located in the very back end of that Bitwise South Stadium.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of different types of people in these buildings. And you're right, they own a lot of buildings because Bitwise has, I guess I should start early, but they've raised a lot of money. Like when I say millions, I mean tens of millions, possibly hundreds of millions of dollars throughout the last 10 years.
In this article, just to say, it said in the last 4 years, the company had reported raising $157 million.
Jeez.
In the last 4 years.
Wow.
4 years. How much?
$157 million.
Okay, that sounds about right. $157 million in 4 years. Yeah, because they started off with some pretty good money from like HP. They've raised money from Google. They have a lot of money. In 2022, they had $80 million. Come in. They were supposed to get another $80 million from I think Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, Goldman Sachs was supposed to give them
a lot of money coming in.
And okay, so to go back to what you're talking about, so they like with these credits, they were one of the things that they did is they gave, you said they sold off these credits. Yep,
they're selling credits off. There was also they had sold them to a company. This is from one article. 1861. It doesn't really matter. I'll just say this. There's a lot.
Some venture capital company.
Yeah, I'll just say this. They dealt with money wrong. A lot of stuff happened. It doesn't really matter the ins and outs. I just want to say this because people are really upset about why this happened, how this happened. People are angry at Bitwise. They're angry at Jake. They're angry at Irma. They're angry at the whole situation. I just want to put my 2 cents about why this happened. And how this happened. And it's an issue that I think is it's systemic, not coming from Bitwise. It's coming from 2 big areas: the way venture capital works and investments now, and the Fed. and how they and printing money.
Was there any grant money involved in this? I mean, there were some, right?
Yeah,
but they were very small, though.
Well,
I
they
think,
got
right?
a couple. They got millions of dollars here and there from a lot of
From
different
grants and
areas,
stuff.
yeah.
Okay.
So I would say this, and if anybody else how venture capital works, have dealt with some of this stuff. There is the reason venture capitalists pour millions and millions and millions of dollars into these things all the time. If you think about Uber, you guys ever seen how much money Uber loses every year?
No.
Okay, so we're thinking about like Uber, right? Like Uber, of course, they're successful.
Right.
Yeah.
You think?
No, yeah, they lost $9 billion.
Holy smokes.
Whoa.
Just last year. $9 billion last year.
Wow.
And that's net loss. That's after everything. A net loss of they lose about before that they were losing $7 billion per quarter in 2021. So you go like think about how much money, and they can only lose that if they're getting money. So people are continuing to give them money. And that is so much money to lose.
Is this almost like a Ponzi scheme?
No, it's what it is. It's the way venture capital happens is you have so many people with all this money.
Yeah.
And if you hold on to your money, inflation, you lose it. With the amount of inflation's happening, you just lose your money.
Especially right now, yeah.
So they have to get rid of their money. So what they do is they each take, they take $50 million here, $25 million here. Because remember, when you're sitting on maybe $1 billion or more, a couple $100 million,
Yeah, I have that problem. Yeah.
you're making, I mean, just in interest, you're making $100 million a year.
Right.
You're just making so much money. You have to do something with it.
Yeah.
Also, you're getting taxed on it. So you have to get rid of it. So that's where all these venture capitalists come from. So they're going, okay, I got an extra $100 million I have to get rid of. Here's 10, here's 20, here's 30. And then you have, so there's one company and he's getting 10 million from all these people. And what those guys are doing is, one, they're thinking, okay, if I lose it, I lose it. Whatever. I was going to have to pay it in taxes either way.
Yeah.
But if this company that I'm investing
Well, they
in,
can write off the loss.
yeah. But if it works, hey, sweet. Now I own a piece of that.
Yeah.
So, they'll throw a couple $100 million around and hope that one of those
Something
10
hits.
things works. Yeah.
Something hits.
Yeah. And it's usually like 1 out of 20 might actually survive.
Throwing spaghetti at the wall
Easy.
and seeing if a noodle will stick.
Maybe 1 out of 100. I mean, and I'll tell you
How you
this.
tell it's done?
When I go to food shows, that's also all venture capital. I just came back from a show and they said I think there was like 94,000 people showed up.
Wow.
Most of those are exhibitors. So there is just thousands and thousands of food companies there. They're there every year. They're always different ones every year. And they're all just blasting. I mean, just throwing money around like it's nothing.
yeah.
Because they all got, hey, we got $20 million. We got $20 million. We got another. And then they'll run out of money and they'll go out of business, which is it. Now, if it works, great. But if it doesn't, it doesn't. So that's where a lot of this happens is venture capitalists are throwing all their money in thinking it works. Now, when they do that, though, they're also demanding very high growth. They're saying grow fast, grow fast, grow fast. Because if you're not showing me growth, I'm going to take it and throw my money elsewhere. So that's a big part of it. The other thing is this. So one is venture capitalists. Now, the venture capitalists need to get rid of their money because of inflation. Because inflation keeps on going, you got to get rid of it. And then also, a second part of that is debt, right? It was cheap to get debt for a lot of years.
Sure, yeah.
Now the Fed is increasing interest rates, Federal Reserve. So now all of a sudden it's harder to get loans, and people are much more wary of giving you money because it's like, oh, I'm not pay it back.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
a lot of these people who are relying on venture capital, maybe some of that dries up, and they go, oh, it's fine, I can go get a loan really quick. Well, you can, but now all of a sudden you're paying 10, 15% where you were paying 1%, whatever it is, and that much money. So that really hurts them. So that's another big issue. The other thing that I don't think people realize is, and this was a hard thing for me to get, is when a lot of these venture capitalist firms, when they put money into a company, like a company like Bitwise, you're going, why weren't you better with your money? You're just losing money. The reason is because they literally can't be profitable. As soon as you, and this is a weird thing to think about. It's not normal investing, but let's say I'm making graham crackers. I have a graham cracker company, and you give me $1,000 to invest, and I go, great. And then at the end of the year, you come by and you say, Max, are we profitable? And I said, yes, I made $100. You're going to say, I gave you $1,000 and you're profitable with $100? Well, that's not worth it. But imagine if instead I said, well, not profitable yet, but
Yeah.
look how many customers I have. And when I flip that switch, bam, we're going to be so profitable.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, gotcha. Here's another $1,000. But as soon as you're profitable, you put a number on it. So as soon as I'm profitable, all of a sudden I have value. If I'm not profitable yet,
Yeah, sure. I
I
understand
can
that.
be whatever. I can be whatever I want. I'm not profitable yet, but once I am, I'm going to be worth $1 billion. Okay, I want to be part of that. It's like Uber. They just lost billions and billions of dollars. Why are people giving them money? Well, because when they are profitable, it's going to be big.
Well, it's going to be the next Microsoft.
It's
right?
like
They're the
us.
next
We're
Microsoft.
not profitable yet.
Yet.
But
and that's
when
it.
we
You just-
do.
that's the whole idea. That's how that works. So a company.
that's why they were like buying all these buildings.
Yes.
That's why they're going to all these other states. That's why they're growing
have
like
to
out of
grow.
control.
They're growing out of control. So my issue is this: is like that's kind of my bigger issue is the system in general. Is
Yeah.
like so I've seen some excuses about like, well, look, Jake and Irma, they're just doing the thing that you have to do when you have venture capital. Like that's what they did. They're just doing it. Well, yes, and I get that. But as far as I'm concerned, that's not an excuse for me. Because if you just think about that, that's the reason people have an issue with capitalism. Like capitalism works. Crappy capitalism where you just don't think of the people you're
crony.
hiring, crony capitalism, right? So like they're like, oh, good, that's just how it works. I'm like, yeah, man, but you didn't think. What you didn't think of is your 900 employees. What you didn't think of is you took money from the city, tax dollars. You took people's hard-paying tax dollars.
Exactly.
And then you didn't even pay your taxes with it. Like, so you had $80 million 6 months ago. Why didn't you pay your freaking, property tax to the city?
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Hypothetically, still not being completely familiar with the entire situation here, with the tax dollars that they took, do you think then theoretically they turned around and used those tax dollars to open some of the other buildings down in Bakersfield, Dayton, Ohio, New Mexico, et cetera, et cetera?
Oh, with like the tax refund stuff?
Yeah, so basically, were they allowed to do that with the tax money that they got locally?
Are you talking about just the local money from the city?
I actually don't. I don't know. What
and,
that
and it sounds like that's a
Okay.
drop in the bucket
Okay.
because I think it sounds like they only got like $1 million.
Yeah,
at
it's
least
probably
was
nothing.
reported.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they got 157 before, and like you're saying, there was 80 million that was going to come in from. There's reports 80 to 100 million, but coming in from Chase.
Okay.
But the other issue though for me is just like, let's say they had 80 million in 2022. He says they got 80 million in 2022. They had that. So and then they're like, oh yeah, but then we used it to expand the company. Like, okay, that's great. But the first thing you should have done is paid off the stuff.
Pay your bills.
Pay the bills first.
Yeah.
So and for me, the excuse of that's how I get it because that is how venture capital works. But as somebody who is going to run a company responsibly, you do the responsible thing. You say thank you, venture capital, but I'm going to not break the law. I'm going to respect the people that.
Well, you can still play the game. You can still not. You can still spend the money like you're talking about, but at the same time, like you're saying, pay your bills and still be in business.
Yeah.
So this makes a lot more sense because I was, in trying to understand all this, I was just thinking, how can this company take? A lot of people are pissed. I mean, you go on Facebook and read the comments.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are pissed that are either ex-employees or just people that are tired of their tax money going to what doesn't matter how much it is, just going to stuff that just these programs and grant funded things that just don't amount to anything.
Because people are realizing finally, wait a second, that my tax money went to this company who blew $157 million.
Yeah, what did they spend it on?
What did they
that was
spend
my
it on?
question.
But once again, though, I have to go back to this. I can't. I'm on this verge where I'm saying like I can't blame. It's not really Jake and Irma's fault. I mean, it is. They should have done it, right? But they're not the problem. The problem is our city has programs where we just steal money from citizens,
Just throw money
and give it to random like that's what we need to stop.
And if they
people's anger is that people are angry at Bitwise.
Yeah.
Like, no, stop. You're not angry. Don't be angry at Bitwise. Be angry at our city for saying I'm going to tax you and give it to these other programs. That's the problem.
yeah.
It's also like sometimes with eminent domain, the city will take over a property and then turn it over to a private company.
Right.
Well, here's what I say. Here's what I say in that vein. I think the city should, if they need to get paid back, should take over one of those buildings and give it to the Adventure Church after the city kicked them out of the Tower Theater and wouldn't let them have the church.
That's the kind of stuff.
Can we give them the Hive building so that they can go through and repaint that damn thing
Right.
by the freeway? Because it is an eyesore. I hate that.
And I'm going to tell you right now, I want us to go in. I always love that old Spaghetti Factory building.
That one, yeah.
I want that building.
Right.
Well, that's the thing.
That needs to be our podcasting building.
It should be. And
Yeah,
I think that's
I like that.
where.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like, I hope that kind of helps. It's me saying, like, the issue is this, like, it's not Bitwise is playing the game.
It's a game that's being played, yes.
However,
and people get hurt.
And people get hurt. And my thought is, I do put some of the blame, though, on them. Because, like, for instance, I've been around that game. I've been in it. I get it. We've had money come to us. We've had people invest in us. But you know what we do?
You're talking about not the podcast,
Not the
folks
podcast,
out there.
sorry.
But
Separate business. But you know,
Separate
we
business,
do the
yeah.
right
How do you
thing
think I
with
got
it,
here?
though. Yeah, we flew him out. We flew him out from
right.
East Fresno.
That's right.
in the helicopter, the private helicopter. Yeah.
Marty's private helicopter.
That's right. Got a swap meet.
And like, sure, you could play that game, but you know what we didn't? We as just to do the right thing. So it's like, just because you can do it, just because it's legal. Like, I don't think they did anything illegal.
There were some things that were
Well,
illegal.
here's
Because also
that-
they took like funds and put it into the bank account where they weren't allowed to put the funds in a bank account they controlled. It was, I don't know if it was blatantly illegal or just they didn't know.
Sure.
They
Well,
made
here's-
mistakes. It was because a lot of people who run things like this don't know the legal
They don't
aspects.
know everything, right?
Yeah.
So
Well,
I guess,
here's the other thing too. Like I'll say on that. See, here are they going to be on the hook because that company, that 1861 or whatever that you said, they signed off on that employee credit to give to that company. Now, when you read the story, it says that the IRS supposedly messed up and deposited that money to Bitwise, not to that company. Now that company is coming after Bitwise because they haven't paid that company that money that they promised they would for those employee credits.
Got it.
The other thing, too, is that they also said in the story that they didn't say what the timeline was, but that the 401ks of those employees have not been paid.
Nice.
So they took that. So somewhere that money's in limbo. Those employees' 401ks that were supposed to be paid were not paid.
Right.
So
their
could
checks
they
are
be
not-
on the hook for this stuff? Or maybe they
Do they know
won't?
Joe Biden? If they know Joe Biden, they won't look for anything.
It also says in this article, at least, that they were they got local investors to give them lending money.
Yeah.
Issuing multi-million-dollar loans to Bitwise in exchange for shares,
yeah.
owned by Sobral and all.
I think they gave them all their shares.
However, their entire stock they did the deal under the pretense misrepresenting that they had all rights to their shares, but they actually didn't. So those are false representations. So that's they're saying could be federal charges by selling shares.
Wow.
So that is shady stuff.
It looks like what's happening is that, like you said, this thing started snowballing and going sideways on them, and they were running around trying
Getting
to
money
get
from
money
everybody.
with high interest loans. It says in these articles
Yeah.
to try to
12%,
keep it
yeah.
afloat, just to get to this next 80 million that
to get the next, because as soon as they got
the next big hit,
yep.
and they were hoping to stay, but then this thing collapsed in on them. And they had to, because it was crazy, right? Like Bitwise, you hear, Bitwise. I mean, we see all the buildings in downtown. Next thing you know, we just hear all 100% of employees furloughed, gone.
Well, and Eric, too, another interesting dynamic to this story is that not just that one company you're talking about is going to be after them locally, at least, but you're also looking at there's a company, I think, now in El Paso, Texas, which is getting ready to file criminal charges against Bitwise. So not only are you talking about local people coming after them,
They have stuff all over the place.
they have stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
So Bitwise is now opening themselves up. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. They're opening themselves up now to not only local and civil lawsuits, but
federal
lawsuits as well.
And other states
Yeah.
have other rules and laws, so
Yeah.
they could be. So you're talking they were in New Mexico, I think Las Cruces, New Mexico. They were in Colorado. They
Dayton,
were
Ohio,
in
I believe.
Dayton, Ohio. I think they were setting up shop in Illinois, somewhere in Chicago.
And then they moved further south here
And
in the valley,
Texas.
where they had a building down in Bakersfield as well.
Okay.
So yeah,
I also didn't realize this too, that they had when they weren't paying taxes, they were sitting on $65 million at that point, but they weren't
Wow.
paying because they had to pay $5 million. but they didn't want to because it was going to jeopardize their future Goldman Sachs investment.
Yep. So, guys,
so like that's the problem. Is like you play these games, you start getting trapped. You start getting sucked in. So like I said, I've been in those areas. But the thing is, we played it. We didn't play the game. We could have, but we just said, this. It's legal. This is legal. We could take the money, peace out, let all our employees suffer. But instead, we said no. Like that's the wrong thing to do. So whether something's legal doesn't mean it's right. And I think that's the thing people need to understand. Just because the city's giving you money, or just because the city's offering money, you shouldn't take it. Like the city says, "Hey, I can give you $1 million." You shouldn't say, "Great, thanks for the $1 million." You should say, "Okay, but do I need it? Am I going to actually be doing something for the city, or am I actually just going to take it and throw it with the rest of my $165 million and blow it on a building?"
Well, like you say, you get sucked into it, and you're doing the dance, and you think the music's never going to stop, and then what happens when the music stops?
Okay, here's what confuses me though, and I'm not a big numbers guy, so there was a reason I majored in mass comm journalism in college. So here's what confuses me the most. All right, you would have to think, and Jake and Irma are two very intelligent people, Johnny. So wouldn't you think that somewhere down the road here, they knew that they were going to eventually have to face the music or get caught or something? Or did they find a way to have a paper trail to hide what I'm not saying they were implicit and knowingly doing something wrong, but you would have to think that somewhere down the line, whoever was involved in this, whether it was them, whether it was these venture capitalists, whatever, they knew something was going to happen. So am I off base in assuming that?
I think what happens, you could speak it before I...
Well, I was just going to say, I think he kind of answered that question when he said that what happens, I think you get sucked in. The fact is that you get the money and then more people start throwing money at you and you kind of get sucked into this cycle of taking money and then spending it and spending it, and all the time you're living right on the edge of probably closing down. This probably isn't the first time they were on the edge of closing down.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot.
And they can't stop. They keep spinning around. They can't stop it because they keep getting the money and it keeps...
The other thing is, I don't think you end up... I'll tell you why you don't think it's ever gonna come bite you in the ass. It's because things like this. It's because Irma, for instance, was Fast Company's Queer 50 in 2022.
There you go. Community involvement.
She was recycling bottles to Cash, to Tech CEO. The future is Fresno. Meet the Latina behind the Valley's largest ever Series A. She was on the front page of Google for a while as Google.
Yeah, that's right.
She was on Google as like their LGBTQ person.
You're buying into your own hype? Is that what you're saying?
That's what it is. When you keep on getting the hype, and they're not just saying, "Hey, you're great." They're saying you're great. And here's $50 million. They're saying, "Oh, you used to recycle bottles, and now you've raised $170 million. Wow! Meet the Latinx founder building $100 million tech hub in California's gritty Central Valley." I mean, look at this.
We're gritty. We're gritty.
Gritty.
Yeah,
That's
nitty
the
gritty,
front.
baby.
I thought like pretty Central Valley.
This isn't a small article.
Far from it.
Look at this article.
Yeah.
It's a full page. I mean, it's massive. This is a 2020 article from the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Daily cover story. I mean, it's massive.
She was the first to go to college. Did it say she majored in finance?
Yeah, right.
What did she major in? I mean, obviously, no, seriously, but see, that's the thing. Like you're saying, I don't think people. I think it's a combination of that, getting the money thrown at them, and not knowing how to use it correctly.
Right, because that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money. $100 million.
So I know there's been a lot of differing reporting on this, but I just looked at an article here on gvwire.com, guys, and according here are some of the charges that Bitwise is looking at. Number one is they're late on paying Fresno County property taxes, late in paying its rent, has not properly paid employees, and keep in mind I'm sourcing this from gvwire.com. They allegedly withheld 401k contributions from employees. They face a lawsuit from a business partner accused of breach of contract for receiving a loan using its property as collateral, which is what Max was kind of referring to earlier. And to put the cherry on the icing, they sought short-term, high-interest rate bridge loans from local business leaders.
Yeah, they're getting sued for $35 million.
Is a bridge loan, the term bridge loan, is that what we were talking about, where they give you some money to carry you over until you get the next
really
next
high
big
rates,
hit?
It's kind of like a good faith loan, isn't it?
It's like a short-term financing.
Okay.
Let me ask you this. Is Irma going back to recycling bottles at this point?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We should all do a bottle drive for
Short term is like somebody will say, "Hey, look, you need money. I'll give you the $27 million or whatever it is until you get," and they'll say like, "Okay, are you sure you're getting your Goldman Sachs loan?" Yes. That's happening in 4 months. Okay, so if I give you $30 million for those 4 months, and you'll give me 10% on that,
12%. Yeah.
Sure, I'll make a couple $1,000,000 easy.
Yeah.
But then if you've lied and you're not actually getting the other money for sure.
Well, something happened because they did mention that they had a couple of these bridge loans lined up, and then they fell through. They did not. They did not go. The other parties did not go through with it, so they knew something.
And these guys knew it though early because they've been asking for money since the beginning of the year, so they knew.
Okay.
The other thing that I think is like, Shift 3. That's what I was gonna say. This is the people who were doing my website.
Shift 3 Technologies.
Yeah, there it is.
So are they going to have a fire sale for all this technology? Because you can pick up some good stuff.
I know.
Swap meet, Marty.
I want that spaghetti. I want that old spaghetti factory building.
But I mean, if you think about like
Get
the
some
kind
microphones and stuff.
Put the caboose back inside.
I know. Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry,
like
Johnny.
People rubbing your rhubarb, if you will. I mean, right before in 2020, they had that big conference at the Soroyan, and I mean, Steve Wozniak was there.
Yeah.
So
okay.
I mean, you feel unstoppable. I'm from Fresno, and I got Steve Wozniak.
Everybody's telling you that you're so great and you're so wonderful.
Everybody's saying, "Oh, you need money? Here's $100 million." Goldman Sachs, Motley. Everybody's throwing money at you, and nobody's telling you're doing anything wrong, right?
Yeah.
Nobody's like, "Oh, they're saying, oh, sure, all right."
That's
Because
a
remember,
mugshot.
for them, this is the thing that people don't understand. Also, like, for the people giving them money, it feels like a lot of money.
Right.
They gave me $100 million. It's literally nothing to these people. Like we have a good friend who was an investor with us. I'll just say this, he was a multi-billionaire. So I know that the interest, he would tell me jokes about how his friend wanted to start a pharmaceutical company. So he lent him like $25 million. And like 3 weeks later, the guy had bought all these medical pill bottles and a building and then realized he couldn't do it. And it was like a joke.
Wow.
Ha ha ha. It was a funny thing that happened on the weekend. And I'm like, yeah, because the $25 million was literally like he made that like over that week in interest. Like, okay, it's like whatever. I lost it and whatever. At the end of the year, I was gonna have to pay it in taxes.
But it's a write-off. We've talked. You and I've had conversations
anything.
before about how it's about how you use the money, and these people are experts at using the money. The thing is, though, is it a ha-ha thing though? If you're losing $157 million. Somebody might not be so ha-ha about it. They know how to use money, but especially if they think that you've screwed them in some way.
Right.
That's
the problem. And look at all the awards. Fastest growing company in America from Inc. 2021, the People Company That Cares. Best Workplaces for Women. The Diversity Cube. Male Ally of the Year. Social Impact Award. Best Corporate Social Responsibility Initiative. World's Best Connectors, Diversity, Your Competitive Edge, Technology Rising Star. It's just like National Latino Leader, the Queer 50, the Entrepreneur of the Year finalist. I mean, it just goes. There's 100 of these awards.
Let me ask you this, and to get away just a second from Bitwise, but do you think that this capital venture stuff is kind of on the way out?
100%.
Because here's what I'm having a feeling is that with all we've had recently, all these boycotts of major corporations, and we've had all this kind of movement. I'm wondering at some point if this is going to be actually a time when we start bringing mom and pop shops back, and it's going to be more about shopping locally and shopping with keeping things small and local and actually helping your community and being there for your community and everybody helping each other rather than depending on this crazy money, because we see where it goes, right? These people that are working there think they have jobs. They wake up the next day and it said they didn't even get a paycheck. They got a voucher saying we owe you this money. Yeah. And they're like, are they going to fall for that again?
Right.
Yeah,
I think it is starting to collapse. I mean, you can just look at Silicon Valley Bank, and then all these things are starting to collapse. And then when Bitwise has been able to get all this money for 10 years and then all of a sudden not.
Well, obviously, look at that. The credit's trying.
Obviously, something's starting to collapse, right?
Happening. Yeah.
And it's happening a lot of places. I know a lot of food companies in the food industry that are struggling. I know a lot of people that, because as well, inflation was big and then the interest rates hit. So it's like now your money's worth less. And you're paying a bunch every month,
and on top of that, you have the government regulations that are 100%. Weighing down on you. Minimum wage they're pushing up through the roof.
And if you're in a place like California, your electricity rates are skyrocketing. So
everything,
everybody's starting to hedge their bets.
Rates.
They're all starting to go
taxes.
Maybe maybe it's not worth investing in this. Every company is tightening their purse strings. There's no way.
Yeah,
I just read a big article. If you want to talk about this. just like let's see if I can do this really quick. Yep.
He's typing.
Yeah.
Typing. I'm looking
Call
it
him
up.
Johnny Fingers.
Johnny, hey. Key drivers that are influencing the end to online consumers. So, like, essentially what they're saying is that, like, Cadbury, Hershey, Reese's, all of these big companies, they're getting out of even just selling their stuff online.
Really?
Because it was costing them money to do a lot of this stuff. And before it didn't matter, but they're just like, nah, it's not worth it anymore. We're done. They're killing all of this. They're killing it all off. So everybody is getting out of the things. If something doesn't make you a bunch of money, like everybody's becoming risk averse. I think that it's not worth the risk anymore.
Yeah.
Because when's the next COVID going to happen? When's the next when's the next time we're going to get told to get shut in? It's not worth it.
Well, that's the other thing too, right? You're a good point you brought up. COVID hit, and when we saw how fragile it all is, how that whole system with a supply line, a supply chain, being broken essentially, right? And I mean, you think one word about toilet paper, and everybody's over at Costco, and they're out of toilet paper, and then they can't even make it. Fast enough to sell it. So you see how fragile the whole system is. So maybe that's kind of starting a reset, you think? I don't know. Or started a reset?
A great reset, if you will. I think
you will own nothing and like it.
I think people are starting to look at that. I mean, I know I am. I think I've definitely seen more people trying to get chickens, even though they can't.
Yeah, I know, right?
Clovis.
Yeah.
Clovis
I
really
hope so.
clucked it up, didn't they?
Oh,
dad jokes
they really
tonight.
gave us the bird.
Hey! Sorry,
Is there another one? Anybody got
dad joke. This is dad joke segment. No, but so ultimately, what do you think? Okay, so you've explained it really well. I mean, at least I have got it a lot better now. Jay and I were talking about it, and we were kind of like, we're going off on it. But now I kind of understand the whole workings here.
Right.
What do you think of the final takeaways here from this happening, and especially to happening to Fresno? I mean, this hit us really hard because there are a lot of people that were invested in that.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes as no shock to me, not because just because I've been saying that this is a house of cards since 2009 or something. I've been skeptical of this for a very long time.
Here's the other thing. People, I think,
didn't make sense to me since early on. They kept on getting money. I was like, this is not going to work.
That's why I ask you. I'm like, what did they even do down there? I mean, all I know is that they were supposed to have some classes for. I thought Bitwise was essentially a place where people who were, didn't have a lot of money, they can go get some classes and learn how to code, learn how to do things.
The initial concept, yes. The initial concept was Geekwise Academy, teach you how to code. The initial concept was, hey, let's help Fresno do stuff.
Yeah.
But then the money came in.
I also seem to remember way back when Bitwise first got off the ground and they were they were starting to make a name for themselves in just the local city business landscape. Remember when our locally elected officials were having all of the arguments about gentrification and infill development? If I remember correctly, Bitwise was going to be front and center at the revitalization of downtown Fresno, or one of the parts of revitalization of downtown Fresno. Yeah.
Okay.
So Bitwise was not only looking to make a footprint in the local business realm just to enable a lot of people to use the services they were offering, but they wanted to also serve as a beacon to revitalize downtown Fresno because Eric and everyone else, you guys know that they went to a lot of painstaking measures to have some luxury apartment living built in downtown Fresno.
Yeah.
In fact, right off of Van Ness and H Street, I believe, is where you have some luxury apartment rentals there that you normally would find up in the Bay
The
Area.
Ironbird Lofts.
Yeah, the
were one of
Ironbird
them,
Lofts.
and-
So they were using Bitwise also to bring other people and businesses back to downtown Fresno to revitalize downtown.
Yeah, they want it to be like a hub
Yeah.
of a metropolitan type hub.
And
right?
so assuming if Bitwise goes under and folds, this is going to be a huge kick in the nards to the city of Fresno's attempt to revitalize downtown Fresno.
Well, along that vein, didn't the city also get another $150 million to revitalize downtown recently?
did.
Again?
Yeah.
How many times are we going to do this again?
Right.
Again.
Right.
Yeah.
Where does this $150 million? We're talking about they're raising trash rates.
Yep.
We were joking about this earlier. They want to raise trash rates for everybody else, but yet you got $150 million to spend in a downtown that you've already spent probably close to $1 billion. You think they've probably spent $1 billion at this
Gotta
point?
be more.
They get it from swap meets. Literally, swap meets.
I mean, yeah, but the point is, I mean, they're spending so much money downtown, and you're not getting a return, not getting anything.
Yep. No return on the investment.
I know
it's never ending money though, because remember, all they do is say, "Hey, we got to pass Measure X," and we'll all say, "Okay, it helps people, it helps the city."
Yeah, but this is coming. Is that state or Fed that new money's coming in? I think that's from the Feds, right?
I think it's. I think so.
Either way, it comes out of our pockets.
Right. Yeah.
Somehow.
Oh, we have $250 million in state funding for downtown Fresno.
State funding. There you go. Okay.
But remember, comes out of our pockets. Yeah. And also, that's the kind of stuff that even makes me even more angry. Everybody should be angry. Because that means people in Sacramento, by the way, are paying for that too.
Yep.
Everybody's paying for a downtown that nobody's going to. It's $250 million. Keep in mind, guys, it's a lot of money, but it cost $1 billion to rebuild a building. It's not going to. We got one building with this. Great. Congratulations. We get one new building.
If they were to give any of that money to Bitwise, do you think the residents would? I mean, that would.
They're not going to tell us anything, man. They probably already are.
Really? Well, they can't pull Bitwise out of this hole. I don't think so.
No, I think it's too deep. They're gone basically.
Yeah.
It's just a sucky.
So the Spaghetti Factory building's ours.
Yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
Stu is going to have a swap meet in there every what?
Every
Saturday?
every weekend, yeah.
Every weekend you go Stu swap meet. You can have the doorman's doors. Johnny Knob will show you some knobs.
Do some knobs for you.
He'll sell some
I'll
door
polish
knobs.
your knobs.
And
I'll sell you the door. Johnny will sell you the knobs.
And LL Cool J will be in the parking lot slapping No Focus Radio Hour magnets on the car.
There you go.
I'll be out front reading a Dr. Seuss style story.
Nice.
How he got his name, yeah.
Right.
Well,
I think what's happening. I think there is a shift, and I think to kind of finish out here, I think what's happening is that people, like we're saying, there's all these boycotts and stuff. I think people are realizing that their dollar that they do get to keep from the government does have some power, and that they're going to start spending it a little more wisely, or at least in companies and in things they believe in, rather than just throw it to all the nonsense and the word salad places.
I disagree with that.
Really?
Look. Okay, we thought we had learned in 2008 when the housing bubble burst that we were going to shore up the banks and get all that taken care of and get loans taken care of, and obviously we didn't. Okay, we thought Ponzi schemes were done when Bernie Madoff got busted. They weren't, and they aren't. I disagree with that, Eric. There is still going to be some financial rodeo cowboy out there who thinks he's going to be one step ahead of everybody else and one step smarter. Well, this is just Eric. It's not going to stop.
No. I think you're right. It's not going to stop. But what I think is that it comes down to the individual. And I'm just talking about the individual spending their money on stuff. In other words, if they don't believe in a company,
they do. Look at Budweiser and Target. Budweiser and Target have both lost.
Yes, that's what I'm
tons
talking
of
about.
money.
Yes,
Mic drop. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying though. Is that yes, the government or these venture capitalists or whoever will still do what they do, but I'm talking about the individual will maybe think twice before going into a place they don't agree with or believe in and spend money, or they won't get just the word salad and believe it anymore. Like it's this and that and all this wonderful stuff they're doing for the community. Like I said, I was reading the comments on Facebook and people were being vicious, man. They were and it wasn't vicious in a bad way. It's like, listen, I'm tired of this stuff. I'm tired of our money being wasted. I'm tired of what about all these people being out? I mean, it's just.
They say, here's the thing though, I don't know. People say that, but they're not. People are willfully ignorant, and that's the problem. No. People do not want to know. And this is the thing that it took me I used to think people were stupid. I'd say, oh God, they're so stupid. I realized it's not stupid. It is willful ignorance. Because to understand how crappy things are, to understand, it's like solar energy, right? Like solar energy sounds good. To really dig into it,
yeah, we've done it many times.
You go, ugh, right? Yeah. But and you tell people that, Marty. You've said you've had a conversation with a family. They get angry.
I always get in arguments with people.
Because the thing is, people don't want to hear the truth. They really don't.
Yeah,
it's like you and I did that whole segment about maggots and food, right? Like, people don't want to hear that. No. People don't want to know how the sausage is made.
I'll say
they will.
Yeah,
do everything they can to not.
I do not look at cinnamon. I'm using cinnamon, the ground up cinnamon, and it's not the same for me.
Not
the same. It's just like if you tell a person who drives a Tesla that they're doing more harm to the environment buying the Tesla and driving it than I am with my gas burner car.
Right.
I want to fight because it's a religion.
I think the other thing too is that it's kind of showing people, but these are like reality hitting people in the face, and I think it shows them just how fake and kind of phony all this stuff is propped up.
Oh right.
I mean, when they're throwing around 157 million. billion. I mean, it's like, what does that even mean? And then all this money spent, and the business just goes, oh, it's just poof, it's gone.
It's gone. It means nothing.
You know? Yeah, it's like, it just kind of shows how phony that all of this stuff really is. Like, you know, which is scary to people. It is scary.
But if people really thought it was scary, they wouldn't keep on voting to put more money into like rail systems. You know, like
well,
that's
they wouldn't vote for the politicians that put the money in the rail systems.
I mean, I'll still talk to people who will be like, oh, we got to get more trains. Trains are like, if people really knew, and we talked about it, every time somebody takes the Amtrak, it increases our tax dollar. Every single time. We subsidize every rider by like $180.
Yeah.
Every ride. And I'm like, if people just knew that, they go, wait, what? I'm like, no, I'll tell them. They'll say, that's not real. I'm like, it is real. It's real. I don't know what else to tell you. I can show it to you. I can prove it to you. That people don't like to hear it.
That high-speed rail from Fresno to Bakersfield will sure be a benefit to us, won't it?
I think, we'll be lucky if we get Fresno to Merced.
Fresno to Fowler is my bet.
Fresno to Chowchilla.
Yeah, right. Fresno to Fowler is my bet.
And it'll cost us $300 will be the truth.
Make it to Fresno.
Subsidized.
Make it from Fresno to Fowler in 30 seconds. Boom, you're there.
Yeah.
Like, people don't get, the Amtrak gets $3.6 billion in subsidies each year to keep it running. $3.6 billion.
That's just Amtrak.
Just Amtrak. Of our money.
And you're talking Amtrak's just California, right?
Just California.
$1 billion.
That's just California to keep it running. Because nobody rides it. They still have to keep it running, though. And I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Trains were cool before we had cars.
Yeah.
Like, cars go places, trains don't go. That's why we have cars.
Those people seen in the future because they know we won't be able to have our cars anymore. So we'll have to take the train.
Yeah, we're not going to be allowed to drive them on the roads anymore.
Yeah.
Semi-trucks are going to be cycled out by 2035, remember? So
yeah.
Diesel trucks are going the way of the dodo.
I will say that was a great post from the Babylon Bee that you had put up on the
Which one?
The No Focus board. The Babylon Bee, where it shows that the says that what does it say about children's beds that are race cars?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. We had to move that to a future show.
Oh, anyway, but it's children's beds that are race cars. What does it say that Gavin Newsom will want those to be all electric?
Gavin Newsom, electrify all children's
race car beds by 2035.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this state.
Yeah. I apologize. I talked over everybody a lot in this show.
We all did.
We all did.
So.
Yeah.
And let's not even talk about the debt ceiling, right? That they just
dude.
foobarred in Washington.
We're screwed.
Later show.
This is what I always go back to. Though ultimately, you know, people have to just focus on their community and try to keep things in their community as much as possible. Because if this thing does either go sideways or whatever the case, you know, those are the only people that are going to be able to help you. Just like we talked about it last show about chickens and food and backyards, and that's it. You know, that's
every man for himself, man. I'm taking my guns and I'm leaving you guys behind.
You're like, you guys grow the food. I'll have my guns. I'll use my guns to get your food.
Yeah, you guys, exactly. Yep. Yeah. You start a farm. I'll take your farm.
I'll take your chickens, so you don't get a bullet. It's going to be the Wild West out here in the actual West.
In the wild, wild West.
That's it. That's what's going on. That's what the news is. How about any closing thoughts? You had an eBay story. Is that you got a couple minutes?
I had an eBay story. I'll go through that real quick. Yeah, just to kind of change it up. Okay, here's what happened. So, have you guys ever done this? So, I went on eBay, right? And I was telling Stu earlier, and he said he agreed with me. He's doing the same thing. It's like at some point in your life, you want to go back and try to like recollect all the toys you had. Like
all the toys you couldn't get,
Well, couldn't get, or maybe the ones that were special to you in your childhood, you know? Yep. So I was going back through eBay, and this thing wasn't a toy. It was like a camera that my dad had given me. It was a little nothing camera. It was an Instamatic Kodak, and it was probably a cheap camera back then. But he gave it, you know, I always had it for years, and I had it displayed in another house. And one day I go over to the camera, and the thing is got a chip in it. Somebody, because we had a birthday party, somebody had probably dropped it or something and broke the thing, right? Yeah. So I went on eBay the other day. What was that?
I don't know. I said yeah.
Oh yeah. So I went on eBay. I went on eBay the other day and to look for this camera and I found it. And I was like, oh, I found a whole bunch of these on there. So I'm looking through all the ones and I'm like liking a few of them that I like, you know.
Right.
So I went in there and I found this one. It was like in pristine condition and everything. I thought, well, you know, I'll just get it and I'll replace it. I mean, to me, it's like it's just about the camera itself, not necessarily the particular one, but it's about that model, you know. So I thought it'd be cool, and I'll have that in display. This one looked perfect. So I put an offer in on this thing. It was cheap. It was like $5, you know, with the like $6 shipping, you know. And I'm like,
was it
oh
$100
man,
shipping?
it was like, and it came with the box, the original box, the
man.
instructions.
Wow.
It was pristine, right? I'm so excited about it, and so I'm sitting there. I'm like waiting for the offer to come back. You know, are they going to accept my offer? You know,
Right.
And then all of a sudden, I get a ding, and there's like an offer for like $650 or something, and I thought, well, you know, sure, $6. Hey, why not? This thing's a pristine, right? So I hit accept. You know, I accept the offer, right? And I was like, oh, cool. I was so happy. I got the camera and everything. I went to bed. Next morning, I wake up and I'm like, I got another ding from eBay, and it says, oh, they've accepted your offer for $5. And I was like, wait, what? What's going on? I got to pay now. Wait, what? What happened was one of the other cameras that I liked had sent me an offer.
Oh, you bought two?
For their camera. I bought 2 of those things now. So I didn't even pay attention to it. I thought they were just counter offering me. I accepted it. So now I got 2 of these cameras. One's in okay condition. One's in pristine condition.
You got to resell the okay
If you want to
one.
sell the one in okay condition, I'll buy it from you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I make things where I make them into lights and have a hand holding it, one of those hard hands.
Oh, okay. I'll have you take a look at it when it comes in. Oh, good. Hey, maybe I have a home
There
for
you
it.
go.
You know what, Stu? I would just give it to you, man. I don't have to sell
I
it
want to pay you for
No,
it.
I'm going to give it to you. But it was so funny. It got me. Have you guys ever done that?
man.
Have you ever done that?
Oh, yeah. And one time, like, I accidentally bought something and I realized I don't really want this, but if I don't buy it, it's going to ruin my score.
You have to buy
my
it.
rating.
You put an offer in on it.
so I end up with something I don't really want.
Did you do something with
funny.
it? What you
Yeah,
got?
I ended up doing something stupid with it, but it happened a couple times. I didn't have anything I could do with it, so either I gave it away or like hid it away somewhere.
Well, that was crazy. It's like I cannot believe that I didn't pay enough attention to like
it
actually
happened. 'Cause you're
look at the thing.
excited.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, oh wow, okay, the counter offer. All right, I'll take it. And I accepted the offer, and so now I ended up with 2 cameras. What about you, Jay? You know, go ahead.
I had this thing where, like, if my wife has people over, I will put things away because I don't want them dicking with it, because everyone always has to pick it up and touch it and everything. I'm going, oh my god.
Well, I couldn't believe it. At least somebody could have said, "Hey, I accidentally did this," but yeah, I found the camera and I was like, "Wait, what? There's a big chip in it." And I'm like, "What? How did that happen?" And I knew it wasn't there before, you know. And it was just sentimental. I mean, it's not like it was worth a lot of money or anything, but what about you, Jay? Anything eBay stuff?
Yeah, eBay related stories. So back in the day, I used to collect a lot of baseball cards, and the one factory set that I had to have that was valued at a lot of money was the 1984 Topps factory set, which had some valuable star players in it. And so I saw the price on eBay. $50, 1984 Topps baseball factory set, which is a darn good price for that year of baseball card factory set. So for those of you who don't know what a factory set is for baseball cards or any sports cards, it's where you get 1 card for each player. It's not like where you pull out a pack and you're going to get like 10 Cal Ripken Jr. Yeah, it's just random cards.
So it's a complete set.
These are
It's
complete
a complete set.
Okay,
Complete
nice.
factory set, yeah. So I ordered it on eBay, and of course, before you order something on eBay, you can see like multiple pictures of the item to see like what the seller is trying to push you.
Yeah.
So before I purchased the baseball card set, he had a picture of a 1984 Don Mattingly, Darryl Strawberry, Cal Ripken Jr. card there, and I'm like, ooh, those are the cards that I really want in addition to the set.
Yeah.
So I go and I click purchase, got it for $50, and then when I got the set in the mail about 5 days later, I'm there fastidiously going through my baseball card set, giddy as a 5-year-old, on his first day in school, and all of a sudden, lo and behold, no Cal Ripken. No Don Mattingly. No. So this cheap SOB took all the star cards out of the set before he shipped it off to me. And what I did was, when I found that out, I messaged the guy and I said, hey, where are these star cards that are supposed to make up part of the 720 factory set cards? I only see 645 of them here.
Yeah.
The little slimy weasel never responded to me. And so I refunded it. I returned it, sent it back to eBay, and I eventually got a refund of my money.
Oh, good.
But that guy finally responded to me after the set got returned, and he said, oops, I forgot to include these in the set.
Yeah, right.
Sure you did. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. All right. So yes, that was the most unforgivable mistake I've ever made on eBay.
But you actually bought it in good faith. It wasn't like you bought it and then didn't read maybe in the description in small print said these cards not included.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But you bought it in good faith. So
I bought
at least
it
you
in
got
good
your money
faith.
back. Yeah.
I did. I eventually got my money back, and that was when I decided to be a more meticulous shopper on eBay. Now when I shop on eBay, I compare and contrast on eBay, on Amazon, and God forbid Craigslist.
Right.
Still.
Yes.
Yeah. Did you ever get the set that you wanted at some point?
I did. I actually got the set at a much cheaper price on eBay from another dealer who gave it to me for $25.
What?
And all the cards I got, Star Rookies and everything, whole set was in mint condition.
Wow.
And none of the cards are off-centered or miscut, completely clean. And I still have that set proudly at home on top of my bookshelf with all my Star Trek and Star Wars books and collectibles.
Nice.
So
perfect.
So I ended up, in the long run, I came out clean on the other side.
Okay, good, yeah.
So I caught the mistake, and I was able to make up for it.
Good, awesome, yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, John? I know we're running a little bit long. Anything real quick?
I don't have many. I've never been a big eBay guy.
No?
Okay. No, so I don't have any really eBay.
Now, you have a lot of collectibles in the studio here.
I do.
Where do you get those at?
A lot of these I would go from. I would travel, and I would go to like unique. I used to go to like different comic book stores when I was younger, or like I used to love the old. They used to have a Warner Brothers DC comic store in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I used to go there as a kid and buy some cool things. But I used to really track down some of these things that I have behind from like vacations and trips and things.
Oh, okay. So it's just like you're out somewhere and you go to the
I'd
local
be traveling because growing up,
and
my dad would we'd travel a lot with him for business. So usually I'd be in a city. I'd go, okay, let's look up if there's a cool like comic book store, collectible store. And I'd go and see if they had something cool, and I'd get something like that. So that's really a lot of it came from.
That probably means more to you because they remind you of places you went.
I do. I have
and
memories
stuff.
of where I got them, which is pretty cool. Yeah.
I'm just remembering playing with these things, and I would buy them for like $10 back in the day, and now they're worth 110. It's like they're trying to sell them on eBay at 110. Exactly. But that's just because I used to play and have fun with them, or like you say. I know real quick, Jason, you'll like that. He's trying to get from his brother. Stu is an old Millennium Falcon, the original
Kinner.
Oh, Stu, you got to make it happen.
He has it, and he keeps saying, "Oh yeah, I'll ship it to you." And I go, "I'll pay for shipping. Just send it to me." He goes, "No, I'll ship it to you." So I'm just waiting for him to
So we're hoping.
Like I got the new sticker pack for it to replace the stickers a whole bit, and I'm all ready.
And he's got the box and everything for it, right?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
The 1983 version or the 1982 version?
It was the first one Kenner came out.
1979 maybe.
79.
So this was the one where you could take the top off and then put the action figures in there and stuff. Right? Okay, that's the one I used to have when I was a kid, and I loved that, and I regret that my mom ever sold it. Now I want to track my mom down with a howitzer and shoot the hell out of her.
There's a lot of stuff.
My brother was smart though because he stashed all his toys away and played with them lightly and stashed them away and kept them. So he could sell them when he got older, but now he's older. He just doesn't want to go through the thing of selling them. He just rather get rid of them. So he sold some, but some of them he's like pipelining to me.
But they're in pristine condition. They may have a little yellowing from but
just
otherwise
because of age, but they're in good condition.
They're not all broke and jacked up and everything else. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I hope you get that. If your brother's listening, does he ever listen to the show?
No. Heck no,
I was going to say, please let Stu have his Millennium Falcon.
I'll have to hit him up.
Keep it in the family. Yeah,
if anybody has one of those old C-3PO cards where he has that penis, that's the only thing I know.
Did you know about this? Do you know about this, Jason?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yes, I do. Yes.
I just want one of those.
Nice.
So if
I didn't know about this till Johnny brought it up. I was like, what?
Yes, the classic... The classic.
Oh, here we're looking at it right now.
Penis card.
Yes.
The trading card.
If anybody has that card, I'll buy it.
We're looking at it right now on the online here on the computer. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. 1977 Topps card.
Did they do that on purpose? Did somebody do that on purpose?
Yeah, they did it on
purpose. They did it on purpose.
That is great. That's amazing. I love it.
There it is.
That is. What is the price of that? What's that going for right now?
I have no idea.
I wonder if the eBay has it.
About
I just don't understand human behavior. I'm only trying to do my job in life.
Great card.
Oh man! All right, man.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
We got to get out of here.
Jason, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you. My pleasure being here. Had a lot of fun with you guys again. Hope to do it sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I wasn't recording. I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
Late April Fools.
Late April Fools. But that's happened before. Remember that one time? And then we did the whole show again exactly how we did it.
Like, okay.
Freaking awesome. All right, guys. Thank you again. Remember, check out our site. Join the Discord server, nofocusradio.com. There's links to the Discord server. There's links to so much cool stuff. There's links to Pardon the Intermission. There's links to the polls. There's links to buying us coffees. And, it does help. We appreciate that. A lot of cool stuff out there. So thank you guys, and have a...
What was that again? NoFocusRadio.com?
NoFocusRadio.com.
Yes.
Yeah, not .net.
.com.
That's the good one.
You better buy them all, just in case.
.net forwards you straight to Biden's laptop media. Oh, my God. All right, thank you guys. Have a great night.
Guys,
10,000 strong.
Yeah.